Hello, and this is the 7th episode of the Pugsley Crew Views, and today we are going to be watching the film Doctor Who and the Daleks. I have with me Earfolds,
Hello, everyone.
Jazzem,
I don't know why I'm here.
and Matt.
Howdy.
Howdy,
So,
indeed.
not much background about this I'm going to give other than it's a Doctor Who film which is based on the TV show somewhat, but not completely. Anyway,
I'll
we should...
explain.
What's that, man?
I'll explain.
Great.
Alright. We'll explain as we go along. Anyway, as usual, we'll do the 3 to 1 countdown and start the film. So, 3, 2, 1, go!
And we're off and racing. Nice light effects from the Canal Plus logo.
Best special effects we'll see
It's-
for the next 2 hours.
Yeah, it's a lovely 60s style intro which fits with the movie.
Yeah, so we see a lot of those colours, like those grainy,
Yeah.
saturated hues.
When are they going to do 4K versions of this then? Like anyone's asking for that.
This
Matt,
is
you
probably the
asking for
most
that?
Yeah, this is the most 60s intro to any movie I've ever seen since Doctor No.
So this is the theme music.
This
Earfolds.
is the theme music. It sounds more like a Bond movie than Peter Cushing. I know he lives in Whitstable. I've seen him
Uh-huh.
on his bicycle.
See, the post-Austin Powers world, it's just so strange to hear music like this, ironically. It's a bit mean.
Well,
It's-
this was in the 60s. It's a product of its time.
Yeah. So this is 1965.
Wow.
You know. Doctor Who is, as a show, about 2.5 years old, maybe 2 years.
Was it pretty much an instant hit right from the off, Matt, or did it take a bit of time to build
It
momentum?
was pretty much a hit straight away.
Wasn't it like popular at the start, but as soon as the Dalek episodes came out, it really...
Yeah,
Which
it,
was
it,
like-
it did it did well initially, did okay, and then after a few weeks when the Daleks got introduced, it just took off.
I see.
Oh,
That's
it's-
why this movie's based on the Daleks. It has them in the
Yes, yeah.
title.
Are they the minions of this franchise? Is that what this is? That is a laboured, horrible comparison. I'm so sorry, but is that...
Physics for the inquiring mind. I've got a copy of Physics for the uneducated, uninterested mind.
Oh, I can do with that.
The science,
Science of
of science. For
Are
science, by
these
science.
are these joke books or these actual
Well,
like placements?
the third reading material is definitely a joke.
The Eagle and Boys?
Eagle and Boys World. Is that the Doctor?
That is the Doctor, or it's not. It's Doctor Who.
It's Doctor Who, yeah.
Who's the other 2 people then?
So the other two people are Barbara and Susan.
Yeah, but Susan's like 3 instead of older.
Yeah,
And Barbara
so-
is supposed to be like...
I'm pretty sure she's still called Barbara in this.
But you
but
can't do
in thi-
rat-a-tat-tat without doing 2 bits.
So yeah, this is where the strongest deviation from the source material lies, is that all of the characters are essentially different,
Really?
even if they have practically the same names. Here we have, because the Doctor is not an alien in this, he is a human. He's a human inventor, and as in the TV series, he has a granddaughter. But in this case, rather than the granddaughter being like a teenager studying at school, she's like really tiny. And then you've got Barbara, who in this is also a granddaughter.
Ah, the age
So he has
difference.
two. So he has 2 granddaughters, whereas in the TV series he just has 1. Barbara and Ian, who is the bloke who's just sat on the chocolates, in the TV series they are school teachers of Susan. So already the whole thing is different.
Is this going to be on the test?
No.
Phew. No,
It goes ding when there's stuff.
I'm guessing it's a different person in the second film who plays Barbara then. Susan though.
Susan, no, Susan's the same, I think, in the second film.
Well, doesn't
There's like,
Susan stay behind in the film, or does she not?
Doctor Who.
no, the story that Susan stays behind in is actually the story that the second film is based on. So that's not, and I wouldn't think about that. It's best not to think about that, and just
I recognise that. I know what that is.
so
Yeah,
so
it's
this is
Ivy, isn't
Starship
it?
Enterprise.
Well, intense, right.
Is this where the first mention of the initials were from?
no, that's actually from the original story, the very first episode. So, but in this, it's very different inside.
yeah, it's.
I
You
love
need-
that set so much.
Where are the roundels?
Is that St. John's Ambulance logo?
Yes,
That's
it
the-
is. That's
that's-
that's something that was on police boxes from the sort of late 50s, early 60s.
How authentic.
They do make a mention in New Who in a recent episode. They say St. John's bells are ringing when the phone's ringing.
Ah, that's fun.
Which film is Wilf in then from?
He's in the second one.
Okay.
So
It's like
Second
it's
one
like
then.
the Dalek invasion of Earth, 2150 AD.
And then we watched the 90s one.
Is yar a unit of measurement?
see, be more familiar. Well, familiar used very loosely. Like, having seen tiny bits of the newer Who more than this. This is a very, strikes as a very Doc Brown take on this character.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, this is the other thing is worth mentioning. Being that this is 1965, this is before there was any concept of anyone other than William Hartnell being the Doctor. So this is before there is a second Doctor. This is before they were ever thinking of recasting him, anything like that. There's no such thing as regeneration. So Peter Cushing is actually the second actor to ever be basically the Doctor.
And that is I can't think of many other cases of that where they handle continuity like that. Like with someone like James Bond, it's just you just assume it gets reset, it just gets rebooted every time. But yeah, they try and keep this all consistent with as an outsider, it's pretty fascinating.
But this, of course, is completely standalone. Although now it may be canon.
Ah.
But I'll leave. Well, I don't know if I should say that because that might destroy Jazzem's brain. But
If it might destroy it, it will destroy it.
all you got to remember is it's all wibbly wobbly.
one thing I have to say is I have always adored that shot. Like,
That
no
is a
matter
really
what I
nice
think-
shot. I love the color on it.
This is a TV movie, obviously, isn't it?
No, this was in the cinemas.
Oh, it was. Oh, okay.
Yeah, the 60s.
Yeah, I don't know.
It
I,
was in the cinema in the 60s.
yeah, I guess so. I don't know.
Like
So,
music. I am thinking of the 60s, am I?
I think actually this was like in the top 10 biggest grossing films of Britain that year. It was
Impressive.
it was a pretty
Whoever's
big
phone is making
commercial
noises,
success.
Put her on mute, you son of a bitch. We're in the cinema right now.
Mobile phones didn't exist back then, remember?
Coward. I'm a little girl and I'll kick your fucking ass. That's what she should have said.
Yeah.
I don't think the kids
I
would have
ju-
liked it though.
I just want to say that Ian's side parting is so sharp it could take your eye out.
Oh man, the whimsy of this.
How can you
Yeah,
tell him
it
he's
is.
a different person to.
It's quite enchanting.
He's human. Then
Yeah, well, that's the thing. He is human. It's a very different take on it.
yeah, but you say.
Oh, of course, it's a Lillian for them.
Basically, in the novelization for the 50th anniversary story, The Day of the Doctor, Stephen Moffat included a bit where I think the head of the unit explains to Clara that yeah, that was great. Yeah, but the thing is that it's silly, but then it makes sense.
Some of the exaggerated pratfalls, at least so far in those.
What was I saying? Basically, anyway, it turns out apparently that the Doctor and Peter Cushing were really good friends, and Peter Cushing maybe made this film as like to celebrate the Doctor's life or something, but it never got released. That's how it might be canon.
Oh, right, okay.
That's so hand wavy.
It's just a bit of silly fan service.
Didn't for a long time the 90s movie was in like discussions whether it was canon or not?
No, I think it always was.
Yeah, because the whole half-human thing.
It was
Yes.
really just a
And
passing
there was
remark
just the
in that
one
movie anyway.
One film using and nothing else until
This
It's
this
fine,
scene with like the background of the spaceship looking thing reminds me of Sonic Adventure in Mystic Ruins when you see the hideout of Eggman in the background.
I can vaguely picture that.
If we're talking Sonic the Hedgehog 2, then we should
It's
call
Sonic
it
Ad-
Dr. Robotnik.
No, this is okay. Yeah, I
Well,
think
that
it
was the transitional game though, because he was Dr. Robotnik and Eggman in that.
well,
They
he's
called him by both, and then it was
Yeah.
Eggman from then on.
I thought he was
I feel like
Eggman, Sonic I was Sonic Adventure.
I feel like I should be looking for that damn frog as Bid the Cat in this photo.
Froggy.
Yeah. Go get him, Duke Nukem.
Is he not going to mention it's a time machine?
He's got another cunning little plan.
Didn't
How
realise he was
Baldrick of him.
Baldrick.
Wow. I could sort of modulate that voice to go boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, boom. What would that be? 24 years after this?
Yeah, I think so. Something like that.
Bit of difference.
1965 plus 24, 19,
Yeah.
89.
God damn it, little girl, stop running off. Need a pee,
She's
let's go now.
inquisitive.
What? Right, so she's seen two of those lily-looking things, and she's pulled both of them out of the ground, so they're dead.
They're already dead.
So just tapped her on the shoulder. That was a him.
No.
Yes, he tapped her on the shoulder from behind and teleported in front and grabbed her.
I don't know. I
Bastard with his
don't know
special
the law.
teleportation.
Maybe he does that.
He does.
I need to rule it out first. It was a stage hand extra.
Well, at least it's not like being touched in the wizard.
To be fair, he's saying I need to find out what that was. To be fair, they could just go home and not fucking care.
That rocking chair is canon, isn't it? I've definitely seen it in the
so-
'96 movie.
No, I just think there's probably a different one.
Looking like the wood
What
grain
happened to all
market.
the wires and stuff? Like, so
It's just-
messy.
Yeah, no,
Sci-fi
but
set.
it's meant
more
to be that he's
exciting
invented
for-
it as well.
yeah.
Yeah, but he
He's
could have at
made
least put
this.
some like plasterboard up and put all the wires behind the plasterboard.
Or he could have gone wireless.
Yeah, such a good inventor.
If he's an inventor, why doesn't he just invent Wi-Fi?
The thing is, I could buy this as like he's gifted in this remark, but not in terms of like the presentation of it. For him, it just has to work. So I'm okay with that.
I like the radar screen. It's obviously just a light.
I was gonna say it's just a spotlight, isn't it? Yeah. Is that one of those tubes where if you like twist it, it goes? Woo?
No,
I
so
think
they
it's one of
shake it and
those,
go wagga, 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 like that.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those chaos drives from Sonic Adventure 2. You give them to your chow.
Oh my god, you're right. It totally is. What would that do? Would that improve the child's flying?
That one's running.
I didn't realise that the Doctor Who movies were such a massive inspiration for Sonic Adventure 1 and 2.
Nothing obvious.
This is the Chow Garden. This is the
That's
dark
the
Chow
Chow-
Garden.
It looks like it could be the dark side garden, actually. In Adventures.
Yeah, all you need to see is find a pool of red and it'll be perfect.
Right, yeah.
Oh, they've just noticed the bars at the bottom and top of the screen.
Yeah,
Let's
don't
go
touch
start
it.
caving
It
in
looks
on
like
them.
a plastic box.
It's the monolith.
Oh fuck no.
It's not a monolith. It's
There's gonna be
really
those
more of
tiny-
a
there's
mini
tiny
lift.
apes around there.
It's a mini lift.
Don't get me wrong.
think-
2001: A Space Odyssey. There is good in it. It's just in
It's a
between
makeup
the
kit.
shit bits.
Like the half-an-hour screensaver at the end.
The only good I like the HAL bit, the whole space station bit there. The rest of it can go. They could have cut that, chucked it in the bin, and then done an episode because that's as much as like 30 minutes of it. It's any good.
I won't lie, Pez. The thought of you sitting through 2001, just grumpy as hell, completely restless, is it's quite delightful. And perhaps relatable because it is a bloody long set.
Is that a city? It looks like it's just two buildings.
It looked like a football stadium. Like it looked like the lights.
Football
It's
stadium.
just what's left of a city.
No, it's supposed to be a city.
Oh,
It's just,
do the doors go shook shook?
you'll find out in a bit.
Nah, they got. They run on electromagnet.
So far, once they've landed on the planet, the plot has stayed relatively faithful to the original story.
Relatively.
Now they
Yeah.
all bring out rock guitars, form a band, and change their name to Sonic Underground.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Peds, I'm going to be disappointed when that doesn't happen. Give me that thought.
You go around
Wow.
with freedom fighters trying to defeat Dr. Robotnik.
There needs to be like a 60s,
And the
like a
Australian
Beatles
bingo
knockoff.
guy.
Doesn't Peter Cushing right now look really like the Third Doctor? There's something very John
No,
Pertwee about the way he's dressed.
a little bit.
All I know is I want those trousers to be in fashion again.
It's obviously not frilly enough to be Pertwee.
Actually,
You're
maybe ever in
asking about the
fashion.
doors, and the doors are making noises, you're not even listening.
They're not shook shook doors, are they?
You're not paper sliding out of
That-
a piece of card.
The Metroid Prime doors, you gotta wait for it to load. Like this poor guy got into a really big load.
Oh no.
You go
You
into
should
a big
probably just
load.
clip out of bounds and go over
You
it.
heard me.
Rephrase that.
Nah.
This is actually kind of an interesting little moment because what happens to Barbara in the second is, in terms of the TV series, is the very first appearance of a Dalek. But I think in the film it doesn't happen.
Is it like 5 years from now? When you know how it's like Jason Voorhees doesn't look like Jason Voorhees, he's into like 3 or 4 films in. Are the Daleks pretty much iconic from the word go, or does some of that come later, like the Exterminate? Like the specific look for them.
They're pretty much realised in their first story in that regard.
I remember hearing in an interview that they forgot the settings for the voice modulator, so they sound
that is-
different.
That is something that did happen, but also that the actors changed as well over time. So and I think they changed. They had to compensate for different things for different stages through productions. This is slightly different because Ian, I think, does struggle to get through the doors, but it's not because the button is on a seat or something stupid like that.
Right.
Is it because his GameCube disc drive is dodgy? So I'm just not going with that head canon.
So right here, I think, yeah, Barbara screams. So in the TV series, that is the cliffhanger to the first episode. And at that point, she basically gets cornered in this corridor. The door's shut behind her. And then as she turns to the camera, she screams. And then there's a massive, great big sink plunger in the way, and that's the first shot of the Dalek. It's like a POV from behind the arm.
That's quite cool.
That's horrifying. God, that must have been
And
pretty
it
rough for
basically-
kids. Yeah.
And it basically reaches out towards her, and she's, But obviously, in this, they've chosen to hold back on that tantalizing moment. So actually, in that context, it's very much like just a glimpse. So the first episode would have been a glimpse at the end of the Dalek, and then they wouldn't have seen the full thing until the following week.
Right. So what could it possibly be?
Yeah.
It's kind of like thinking back to a time when like the Xenomorph was something people didn't recognize, and like they build it up with suspense. Like you've really got to try and put your head into people seeing that for the first time.
Yeah.
It's really hard to just obviously because it's just such a ubiquitous thing at this point.
Of course, I was young enough that the first time I ever saw Dalek was in the comic relief special.
The finest moment. Certainly the most charitable.
Yeah.
Did you a couple of you have seen the Lego Batman movie, right? So I think the Daleks and that are just called like British robots.
Is Dalek
British
in there?
robots.
Yeah, they're just named as that. I think.
Did they
Just
go,
like
would
Will?
you care for some tea?
Right, yeah, it's like I guess trying to play international.
Any other films you want to tell me about that I haven't seen? Bastards.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I haven't seen it either.
Well, that wasn't a.
I didn't know there were
Massive
Daleks in
review.
it.
There was like a million other things in there, don't worry.
Or is it
Well, yeah, there's
Daleks?
pretty much anything in there since you can build anything out of Legos. Is this the
Ah,
reveal?
yeah,
Hey, look,
It's
it's
like-
colourful.
that's so
It-
cute.
So
Like,
fun little fact. Apparently, the director wasn't aware that the lights are meant to light up on the top when they talk. So, for some reason, opted for them just flashing all the time at certain points.
you just thought that was their heartbeat.
They have quite slow
good practical
heartbeat. They have
maybe.
quite
Yeah.
thin on. Is that?
Oh no, they've got
Did they just
carbon
exterminate
dioxide.
him? But
How?
Make sure that you haven't got a screwdriver on him. Oh, wait a second. He's just got his wacka wacka thing.
What if that was like in his sock or something? Like, you imagine trying to reach down with that hook.
I say I don't care for his pocket watch that's sitting right there. It's worth more. They could take it.
They didn't fancy a full-on mugging.
I don't know. That thing's meant to be full of mercury, so
So it's heavier than it looks.
yeah.
Does this get a bit damsel in distress here?
Not
Nah,
at
she
this
kicks the
point.
Dalek's arse and escapes.
That'd be quite forward for the
the
1960s.
original action girl, yeah.
To be fair, there's a bit later on where, like, let's put it that one of the ladies is let off. Well, I say lady, she's not a lady. She's a very small girl. She's given an important job to do. So,
And she
Well, that
dies.
little girl character seems to be the opening gag even insinuated she was the smartest one
yeah.
of the
Yeah.
lot.
So, the
It
Daleks,
doesn't really
like,
say that it's
ray
forward.
gun.
It's more saying, haha, isn't it funny? A little girl is smart.
yeah. She's smarter
Which is-
than the adults.
Well, it was a cute gag where like each older person was reading someone less intellectual than the last. Well done movie like 20 minutes ago.
And given the fact that she's really, really clever, like clever enough to have helped her grandfather build like a time machine, she's remarkably not a complete twat. You know,
Isn't
she's
Barbara
actually
in the
quite
TV
sweet.
show quite a pain in the ass though to start with. She starts off really whiny and stuff, and then
I wouldn't say that. You know,
Are these the Expedition Daleks?
yes.
You can see the script if you look at the call, it's just been held to them. That's why they're enunciating it so rhythmically. That's so bloody adorable. Wait, what one? Anti-radiation drug.
I can't get used to them not using the word "the" before TARDIS.
I know, it's really weird. So yeah, that sort of line is one of the problems because of the fact that the director didn't understand the way that Daleks talk and the lights working. So when they went to put the voiceovers on afterwards, the actors were having to work with when the lights were on. So that line was very stilted because they were required to fit it in.
Ooh, that's worse than like having to match it up to like animation lip sync, isn't it?
Ah.
It's pretty rough. But it works because they talk in. It makes sense for these bizarre things to talk in a way that isn't particularly common.
I mean, some of it works fine like that because they have a very sort of staccato voice anyway.
Why did the Daleks want a radiation drug?
Basically, the plot is kind of that this planet, there was a nuclear war thousands of years ago, and that's why the forest outside, or the jungle, is completely petrified. And they have survived in their city and in their little machines, whereas the people outside have survived without mutating it into what Daleks are. And they want to know how they've done that, I think. So that's why they're after the anti-radiation drug, because they want to be able to leave the city.
And then the next film they're on Earth. Same.
In 2150 AD, if I'm not wrong. This perspective seems a bit wrong here. I thought that was just ground, but it's a rock wall.
It's meant to be like a cliff face. So there you go. There's the little girl off. There's little Susan off on her important little mission. All alone.
Yeah, I'm
And this
sure that was the right decision to send the youngest one out.
Well, it's a little bit more obvious. It's like in the TV series because by that point the Doctor is heavily affected by the radiation. Ian hasn't got his legs working yet after being shot, and I think Barbara is also feeling unwell, but she has to stay to look after the Doctor because he's seriously unwell.
Of
So
course.
like and Susan's a little older in the TV series as well, but she's still very much a like a teenager.
Thing is, isn't it later on in the TV show the Daleks are like this because of Davros purposely making them like it?
Kind of. You'll have to watch the story called Genesis of the Daleks to fully get that bit. But basically, Davros understands that due to the war that they're in, that the Dalek, the race that the Daleks are, which is the Khalids, will eventually mutate into something like the Daleks anyway. So he experiments in ways to make it happen quicker and in a way that he can control, and then designs the Dalek machine around them so that they can go on and survive.
I can imagine this bit being pretty intense for any kids watching this.
Do you know in the first, I'm not sure which one it was. I remember watching it, it may have been in the show, maybe in the movies. But I remember them taking a Dalek apart, and they were like, "Ah!" at the sight of it, but they never actually showed what was in it.
That might come up. I'll just say that. but I'm pretty sure they show it in the TV series. So yeah, this film definitely has a different tone to it. It's much more whimsical and light-hearted. It isn't anywhere near as eerie or as tense.
Maybe they wanted it to play to a broad audience, given that it was going in the cinema.
I think maybe it might have just been like the director, like just having a, I don't know.
Mm. As I say, this sequence is pretty. It's a bit nightmare-inducing.
Yeah. It's
I see
not.
she opened the door outwards.
Kids being lost in there is always pretty rough. Don't linger there. That's right. Good enough. Okay, that's good. Oh my god.
Oh my god, it's Boy George. Lovely eye makeup.
It's just like prototype David Bowie.
He's got sparkly skin.
I want sparkly skin.
It looks like it would have been painful to apply.
They whacked you really hard on the shoulder.
Curative drugs, right?
The other thing to bear in mind, and this is probably more important in the context of the original story, is that being that this is the mid-60s, we're not that far away from the end of World War II.
Right.
So that shadow is still very much what they were drawing from in terms of writing the fiction. So radiation, the wars, even the Daleks themselves are very, very fascist.
Right, yeah.
It's very much part of it. So
Like the hyenas in Lion King.
Are you trying to say the Daleks are Nazis?
Yes.
Keep your politics out of my 1960s sci-fi TV theatrical release.
There they are. The legendary lava lamps. The Daleks are so beautiful in this. They're just amazing pieces of pop art culture.
It's an amazing design, isn't it? It's so just so immediately recognizable.
And he also said, "Hey, I know English. I was on Earth once."
I see what you mean about the staccato voices.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ. The problem with them removing themselves from the machines is they'll do that whole Dalek human thing that they did with Tennant being there, and that was just wrong. It's like a human with a Dalek on a head.
With weird, creepy tendrils. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Yes, give a long conversation to the things that can only speak at 1/4 of a second.
They can talk quicker than this. That's kind of the bit where this is a bit frustrating because it's a bit too laboured.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it'd be better as well if they were just if they talked less. It would probably be freakier. It's the Goomba from the Mario movie in there.
Ah.
Oh,
I wonder
Did he
what's
get
in
set
that
on
milk
fire?
jug.
I hope not. Oh god, which one was going
Oh
to
my-
get stabbed?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Which one is going to
Hmm.
stab Yoshi or get stabbed?
Ugh.
Well, a
that's-
Yoshi-like creature, not Yoshi
It'll be that
itself.
statue they got frightened by earlier. That's the most Yoshi looking bit, then.
Yeah, but they completely fucking destroyed her.
Yeah, I
Except
guess
that
that
wasn't
got.
a statue from the sounds of it. It was a petrified creature.
Mm,
Which is even worse.
I guess that was it. This analogy kind of works.
Oh wow.
Are
so-
those just lava lamps they just bought from the store and stuck in there?
Well, I'm not entirely sure when lava lamps became ridiculously popular.
I was trying
So
to
I
think
don't
of
know
that.
if this is like ahead of the curve or. But like to be honest, they do fit in really well. Like
They do. The problem is that we all know of lava lamps. They're ubiquitous. We've seen them on people. So that you look at those, and
Yeah.
they just look like they're portable. It might be one of those things that's just unfortunate in hindsight. I got flubber in the left one.
Why didn't she cross it out? Why doesn't she just rip it up or something?
she's scared of him. Although she managed to steal the pen.
Why has he got a big ball on the end?
Because there's a Dalek pen, obviously.
She's telling him to stuff it up his ass.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I wonder Cushing seems concerned. That looks like that. You know, the start of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
C-3PO and Artemis at the door. Yeah, something like that comes out.
Why not exterminate them? This isn't very Dalek. They would have just exterminated them.
The right one's heads because he doesn't know how effective his plunger will be. Yeah, why did the one on the right got a plunger? He got the shorts. Oh, no, the one behind him has as well.
The rest of them have claws, yeah.
The rest of them do.
Well, some of the rest of them do.
It's like every other one. It's like claw, plunger, claw,
Is
plunger.
that their genders?
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's just a gender.
Oh my god! Oh god! Oh, that raises more questions when you think about it.
I don't want to know how sex works in the Dalek species.
Mm.
It's very cramped.
When a plunger meets a claw.
It's actually the name of one of the great Dalek love songs. That
So just loads of people.
Right, so which one's the plunger and which one's the claw?
Mhm.
Whoa, they're pretty dumb if they fall for that.
Hold on, is the eye makeup meant to be genetic? Because they all have it.
I think it's genetic.
Oh wow.
And here I was praising their amazing makeup when it's just natural to them. I take my praise back.
Is this one of the few just naturally fabulous species in all of pop culture?
Well, they're mutated.
Oh.
I don't
So-
think they are mutated, are they? They've been kept from mutation with the radiation medicine.
They said themselves that they were mutated.
I just can't get radiation medicine. It's just
It's like in that episode of recent Doctor Who where David Tennant played with radiation as a kid. And he just shakes it off into his shoes.
Ah. And you think about how many superheroes came about because of radiation, and that was around this time, wasn't it?
Hmm.
Like as you say, Matt, a lot of popular media at the time was sort of responding to a lot of that. I mean, I can't think of anything recent that has any kind of radiation. As like a plot point or any kind of core theme. He's fun, Peter Cushing, isn't he? He's a good. He works for this role. He's likable.
He's
This guy less so.
Hmm.
Looks like the bottom half of a PS1. He's got like 2 control ports on it. He wants them to fix it so he can play his import of Final Fantasy VIII.
Oh, don't do that. She didn't even move.
I think
Oh,
he's
that close
referring to
up. At least he's a different color.
Is it just like a pot Nutella she's got on her hand?
Well, in the TV series, they don't use the food. They used, I think it's the water that they're given mixed with the mud that they've collected on the bottom of their shoes.
Oh. Trinities are a force to be reckoned with. He lost to the least intense food fight in existence. It's just...
He went limp.
God. I don't think you answered the question. That's a legit. The little girl needs to know if she just helped him murder.
Ah.
Yeah, so in the TV series, that bit is a bit more. There's a moment where both Ian and the Doctor look inside, and they do not look very happy to see what they see.
And here they're just jumping right in.
They see what's in the
Ian
content.
still gets in it though, because Ian's a boss.
Is he?
No,
Used
not
to
this
be.
Ian.
Yeah.
No, this one's a bit of an idiot.
God, the Ian fans must have been pissed when they saw this. Were any kind of campaigns raised? Any sort of...
I think this is a little bit before people got that obsessive.
It's kind of, I think, a Doctor Who fan. It's a bit similar to Star Trek fandom, really, isn't it? Where there is a lot of obsession over a lot of the little details of this sci-fi show and how certain things connect. And it's sort of from the same era.
I am not 100% sure if the shot of like the claw coming out from under the cape was in the original release. I haven't worked this out yet because I read somewhere that the director did not like the creature that was created And it wasn't that he didn't like it necessarily in how well it had been realised. It was that it was too much. He felt it was too gory, too horrible for
Ooh.
what they were aiming for. So I don't know if that shot was what was left in the film or what has been added in since it was released. I'm not 100% sure.
Right,
So,
that wasn't
has
exactly
that
a very gory
creature's-
hand. It was just like a really bad hand.
No, no.
Fucking
Look like a Jurassic Park logo or something.
So has that creature design never been seen? The one that directed didn't like, or
Kind of trying to remember what it was like in the TV series. You definitely see something in the TV series, but it's more mysterious actually. There's like it looks less like a claw and more like just a thing.
hmm.
It's a shame they didn't do a part where he closed it from the inside and says no from the other side.
How powerful is that elbow of his? Jesus.
Well, he's probably got lots of strong muscles because he was always cycling around.
That would build up.
Well, I guess you're a Dalek now, Ian. Oh man, it's the shade there.
Oh my god.
I think I remember this scene from Star Wars Episode 1.
Oh yeah. It's the Qui-Gon Jinn of Daleks. We've seen gas as well, like in that scene.
Yeah, and of course, because like Peter Cushing later goes on to be in Star Wars, but this is like over 10 years before that.
He doesn't look that. I mean, did they age him up in this in terms of how he looks?
don't
They aged him up
think so.
massively.
Yeah, he doesn't look that different in Star Wars.
Stop peeing in your glass.
That's not what that is. It's because he is very menacing in Star Wars. Like you, in my head, I had him as that, but he's so charming in this.
It's very strange because William Hartnell's first Doctor, particularly at this early stage, is really quite grumpy. Like he can be like the bit earlier where like he like the fluid link is the reason they end up going back to the city, and it isn't actually broken and stuff like that. That is like in the TV series. It seems so much more sinister when it's him doing it, but when it's this Peter Cushing version, it's like it's almost like laughably like daft.
Yeah.
It's in the original story. It's this thing that they really argue about. Like they don't trust each other.
Oh,
But
wow.
I guess in this, like it, because that's part of almost like a soap opera serialization of stories. That gives them something to change and grow. Whereas in this, it probably would just get in the way.
Sure.
Oh, that was a close one.
When they say there's mild peril in the film for the age rating, is that what they mean? Something like that.
Mild peril.
So I don't know. I think I'd rather, again, from an outsider's perspective, I like Doctor Who being somewhat whimsical and jovial. Like I don't know if I want it to be too gnarly and gritty. But I imagine like a lot of fans might sort of lean more towards that, especially if that's how the series originally was
Yeah.
in the first place. I think it was around this time Nintendo had like an extender hand toy like that, like their little hooks.
Yeah.
Oh, could you imagine if there was some sort of license crossover?
Yeah. Well, at this point, they also do love hotels, I think, so maybe they could get that into the plot somehow. Earfolds are connected to your Atari ST, man.
Oh no! Now I'll
They're
have to play
becoming
on my
that.
Amiga.
The horror? There's an 8-bit
Can I just say one
microcomputer.
thing? Why did they have the little girl sign the letter? They could have just wrote it if they wrote the letter, say.
Because Susan had met one of them.
And they said, I want your signature before I give you any more medication? I doubt it very much.
No,
Well, you
no,
kind of
it's
need
meant to be. It's meant to be that she is kind of telling them that they want to meet with the Thals. That like it's so it doesn't come straight from the Daleks, basically.
Alright,
And I
well,
have no idea what those coloured things are.
They're Tupperware
it's
boxes.
just weird
Those
that
are
at the
really
end,
weird.
it was like, oh, now sign it. And it's like, why would you need to sign it? That was my thought.
Well, presumably so that they knew it came from her.
But, I don't know. Odd.
You know, I'm going to describe the direction of this film. I think it's vaguely cinematic. Does that make sense? Like, it's a little theatrical.
It's
There's
like
some...
you've told someone who's never seen a movie before what cinematic is, and they've made a movie based on just that description.
I mean, I obviously trying to be fair because it is. I
Like
don't
this
know.
book
With
of serial of Doctor Who said to someone who's never seen Doctor Who, turn this into a film, use the basic plot, and then they made this.
Isn't that what they did?
That is what happened. Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like the stakes are reasonably high, I guess, for a film ish. Somewhat like the direction is somewhat. Yeah, there's a couple of panning shots that are, like, if not above TV level, then at least.
I'm not sure you were aware of
Oh
what
no, I
TV
got
in the
blow
60s
dried
was.
to death.
Yeah, to be fair, I might be overestimating that. It's just hard to imagine watching this in the theatre. Like, it's just so.
I just watched someone get murdered.
I'm trying to think of
Why are
what.
they shooting
like,
gas instead of lasers?
Well, they were originally they wanted them to shoot fire, but they might have realised that might have been a bit too dangerous. So that's what they did.
Lasers would be
And
mad.
they didn't shoot lasers in Doctor Who at this point.
That's my favourite subtitle ever in brackets, Doctor Who
Doctor Who
Pants.
pants, yeah.
You can only buy some, go on.
Aye, but the problem is, if you have Doctor Who pants as a title, if you actually had it as a title of a film, would they think it means the pants or?
Doctor Who Pants, the movie.
What? They're more machine than man, though.
This isn't like the Doctor. The Doctor's like, run away!
Yeah.
The very first word in the new Who series the Doctor said was run.
Yeah.
Mm. Then again, in the
This was-
first serial, he went to smash a caveman's head in with a rock, but you know.
That's true.
Typical Rust player.
He's changed a lot over the years.
Awkward handshake.
Yeah, I think they went to do each other's way of saying hello or something.
Dude, I wonder what they're talking about in the video footage. They must be singing a
They're
song. They like
probably
flashing
saying-
at the same time.
They're probably saying,
Yeah.
look how long
They-
my plunger is.
They've actually left the Dalek YouTube video playing.
Uh,
It's just some random advert now.
I insinuate that was like a Dalek frat party or something.
I like how it's a
Oh.
big red button you press on this to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Where do you reckon most of these props are now? Would these have just been
Probably set on
destroyed?
fire, just like most of the stuff that
melted down into a slurry.
Well, I think all like the Doctor Who episodes that were lost, like preservation clearly wasn't much of a concern. It feels like.
Only Link
Well-
can defeat Ganon.
Just the Daleks on their side, they would be able to get up.
So yeah, the Daleks that are on the screen are the ones doing the experimenting with the drug.
Well, they look like they've experimented with some drugs.
Care to specify your thoughts?
Well, it was the 60s.
Oh god, they're exhausted to listen to.
It's tiring me out.
Yeah, they are worse to listen to in this than they are in the show, but because of the way they have to speak like this, there's really... oh, Jesus Christ.
But people
I
people
can't-
do it like mock impersonation for Dalek. It usually is like that, isn't it? That kind of staccato pattern.
It's because they've all watched
Not
this film.
I get the feeling by the end of the movie I won't be able to stop talking like this.
Oh. You can do an audiobook of War and Peace when you get to that stage.
Yeah. I see Doctor Who is giving a rank dismissal of pacifism.
Yeah, I didn't expect this, like Doctor Who to be maybe the warmongering, but
I see Tony
Yeah,
Blair
this
watch
is
Doctor Who
is
in the Daleks.
a little bit different in the TV series. I think it's Ian who gets this idea, and not the Doctor. But the gist of it is pretty much the same.
see, they keep making Ian worse in this movie. Poor Ian.
Oh, you
Why?
wish. That makes it all better.
That would turn anyone's legs to jelly. Peter Cushing doing that to them.
To be honest, if Peter Cushing winked at me, I would do anything for him.
I wouldn't.
Would you go into
All
the
winking at me
Death
would be
Star
creepy.
trash compactor for Peter Cushing?
Look at all those Daleks nattering away with the lights flashing.
Yeah.
Obviously, they do an internal monologues. You can't hear it
Yeah.
because they do an internal
They're
monologues.
thinking.
My plunger is bigger than yours. Yes, we found Swamp Thing. He beat us to death. Seriously though, why would you go looking in a swamp for food? What are you gonna find?
frogs, I guess.
Frogs and flies.
Why are you turning this back to Sonic Adventure?
No, no, you turned it
You're the
back.
one that
I
brought
wasn't
it
thinking
up.
of Sonic Adventure. That was inevitable already, wasn't
Goddamn
it?
froggy.
God, also, they have to fish for the stupid thing.
Ah, it's lava lamps again. They're my favorite characters.
Did the Daleks speak like this in the second film?
I can't remember.
Not much of an
If for
expert
what
on
it's
Doctor
worth,
Who,
I
you?
think
Duh.
I do think the second film is better. I think it's a
Okay.
better story.
They kill off a
Um,
lot more people in it.
It's like this story is it's much more character and atmosphere driven, and that's how the story in the TV serial in the TV series is, and the film doesn't capture that. Whereas the story that the second Dalek story, which the second film is based on, is much more like more of an action-packed story. And that actually translates much better into a film, I think.
Yeah, there hasn't been much action. There's just been a bunch of Daleks swimming around, giving
Yeah.
exposition.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is that it's a very more character-driven story, and because they don't actually spend the time and write the scenes and it's only an hour and 20 minutes, and because the characters of the main cast are not the same, and they're not as developed and they're not as interesting, it affects the whole film, I think. Unfortunately.
I'm so glad that shot was in the film.
Why was he washing his face in swamp water again?
Because he's an idiot.
He sure is. Oh, they've only just now noticed the pipe.
Well, I think the Thals are meant to be like a wandering tribe. So,
Right.
like, they said something about going for their own countries across the desert earlier on. So these ones are not local. These are not local Thals.
Look, don't fill up your water in standing water. That's going to be full of diseases. You want to go for a river.
If he's gonna moan that much, let him die. You come with me, or I'll stab you.
I mean, he threatened you at night. I guess you have to. Oh, everyone's there.
They all went anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you can see the bottom of that. How was he being turned into bubbles?
Doesn't mean he's been turned into bubbles. It just means he's vanished.
He turned into bubbles. Either that way he was ripped in half, the gas escaped, and it looks like he's farted.
I'm not sure how you get farting from that.
Pedz, must you see flatulence in everything?
I said look.
This
like,
movie's
I
pretty
didn't say look,
flatulent.
actually.
Oh, good. I guess that
Doctor
seems done.
does seem pretty incompetent in the earlier stuff. It's like he's the person who gets people around, but everyone else seems to do everything. Yeah, from memory, anyway.
He's not as much the focus in this as I would have thought.
He wasn't in the earlier stuff, if you ask me.
No, he wasn't. Like, it was much more a collective thing, and it's always been it's very much to do, like, the original early parts of Doctor Who were very much to do with Ian and Barbara finding out that basically their world is not how they see it. That's what the whole of the first story is effectively about, and it's encapsulated by the fact that one of their students is an alien that they didn't know was an alien. That is basically the gist of early Doctor Who.
Right.
Just very otherworldly, which must have been fascinating to kids growing up with this. Must have really caught their imagination.
And then Star Wars came out, and people were like, "Oh my god, now this is otherworldly."
I like that map paint they keep cutting to though.
This climbing scene reminds me of Menace in the Hand of Fate.
Do you know what it reminds me of?
Okay.
Link to the Past. Any minute now, they're gonna run out of stamina and just fall off.
Breath of the Wild. you mean?
Breath of the Wild. Yeah.
Yeah, what did I say?
A Link to the Past.
Did I say a Link to the Past?
I mean, the bit when they brought up the Mode 7 map, that was very Link to the Past. But
Yeah, that was
otherwise-
pretty Link to the Past. Yeah.
Why the fuck did I say a Link to the Past?
Because this movie's droning into your head and making you forget things.
Mhm.
Link to the
And you're
Past
staring
is
at three
amazing.
people's asses right
I was gonna
now.
say, yeah, this feels a bit.
This scene is very bummy.
Were these actors alright with this?
They're so
they were getting
toned
paid.
and
I guess so. It's like,
why are they
alright,
so
fine.
shapely?
You can zoom in on my posterior yoga pants. Give you a check at the end of it.
In fairness, there's plenty of male and female. So
Oh no, I don't mean that. I just I just find it amusing someone in this film is
in
spending the
fact,
whole
there's
time
a
in
lot
yoga
more male
pants.
than there is female.
To be fair
Yeah.
though, they ain't really gonna climb up the cliff face back facing outwards.
With their face.
Well, that'd be even more awkward, yeah.
They're
We've
literally
got-
climbing up using their fucking arse cheeks to go like.
They're big enough to take their weight.
Quick! Clench!
Ah.
Clench!
Never mind.
I don't think that's gonna work. Dude, look at the size on his balls.
They're
It's a
massive,
really good
aren't
shot,
they?
though. Actually, I love that.
Yeah, it kind of gives it a mighty kind of view. Oh my god, they're even saluting.
Yep.
I'm like, that's.
I like the displays in the background that are just showing spinny spiral things.
God, they're about to march in Charlottesville, aren't they? I'm sorry.
It's alright.
At least
They've
not
got their
saluting.
Vote Trump banners out back.
God, can you imagine Daleks wearing MAGA hats?
I'd rather not.
Same.
Well, I lit easy. I'm not lit easy.
It's
So
too
I-
easy.
Why is he
I
lit
guess
easy?
we're at the climax of the film now.
Getting there.
I mean, the outright said there's the final battle at Dalek.
Yeah, Ganon always says that. He always comes back.
Are they going to play tennis with one of the Daleks?
Is that guy's name Ganatus? That's very close to Ganon.
What?
And now look at what you've done.
Is that
By
how
punching
people...
your brother in the face, you caused the game to collapse.
Yeah, so that kind of happens, but again, like in the TV series, because you've spent that's, I think, if I'm right, it's a 7-episode story, so that's 7 weeks of TV back then.
Yeah.
That this would have been set over. The Thals are they're better characterized and better characterized as individuals as well.
Yeah.
Do they actually interact like actual people do? I'd like that scene.
Well, within reason, they're still a bit alien and a bit.
I
different.
suppose a bit of leeway's right on that, yeah. Yeah, Doctor Who's been absent from quite a bit of this, hasn't they?
Yeah.
Like that scene there, it's like in the Hobbit movies where it finally comes back to the Hobbit after you've spent a
I
while
don't
with
want
the
you to forget
characters.
that you're watching a Doctor Who movie.
But I kind of did for a bit.
But we're not. We're watching a Dalek movie.
But there aren't even.
Did they get top billing in the credits?
To be fair though, as we were saying, Doctor Who was more about like everyone than just him in the early stuff. Whereas now it is about everyone as well, but focus is a lot more on the Doctor's achievements and stuff, I'd say.
Yeah, the Doctor's got a history that he didn't have back then that they obviously draw on,
Mm.
and
suppose he's a bit more of a blank slate at this point, and they had to kind of
Yeah,
start out with, yeah.
and he's kind of a blank slate for a long time, actually.
Ooh.
Oh my god,
So in-
is he gonna jump as bad as Mario did in the Mario Brothers movie?
Trust me, this film has more jumping in it than Mario does, and
This
it's
looks
all
like-
in this one scene.
This looks like before they go into the Diner Manhattan. Like, it looks like the same cave.
Oh my god, he made it. See, if that was Mario, he'd have fell down and died.
Here, catch this fire!
Mm. Okay, good bat paint. That did really convey like the sensation of being really high up over a ledge.
And it conveyed the sense of throwing fire at your friend.
That was important. Speaking of Mario.
Better than Mario.
Here, you take this fire.
So, like in the TV series, this takes a fair bit longer, but it's way more tense. It's like really drawn out, but it's really atmospheric compared to this.
I don't know, man. Those bunny hops are pretty. They take me away.
He's remembering how that guy just punched him in the face a second ago.
Just as he's backing away.
Oh, that was really awkwardly edited. I guess to kind of hide the fact they're not in fact shooting them on top of a large chasm, but
And they're gonna break into song.
Well, hopefully this
Or they're
time
gonna
we'll
start
hear it,
clicking
because
their
we couldn't hear the
fingers.
Daleks singing.
Oh. Yeah, that's gonna work. Whatever it is they're doing. It's gonna totally protect them from the neutron bomb that's about to go off.
Jesus Christ, I didn't realise lens flare was such a big thing back in the day.
Say J. Abrams.
Thunderbirds a go.
Wow, that is so Tracy Island, isn't it? Yeah, you're right. Thunderbirds was 60s as well, right?
Yeah. I
Yep,
think
yep.
so.
And Jerry Anderson was a very, very big Dalek fan. I
That,
think it's one of those things that he kind of was always slightly jealous of, actually, apparently.
that makes a lot of sense.
Oh, we need to get another butt shot.
Yeah.
That's not a good idea.
Oh, he did that without much deliberation, didn't he? It's like, oh, I guess I might as well.
Yeah. It still hasn't hit the ground. Oh.
That is Hitchcock level suspense right there.
Yeah.
Just like.
Now, in the TV series, I'm pretty certain he dies. Like, he cuts that rope, he's dead.
See, you'd think the movie version would be more intense than the.
Yeah. No.
Oh,
Like,
the little girl said no, so they're not going to begin the.
Ah, they didn't call them rails. So, like, you won't know this, but rails are the Dalek measurements of time. So they would have said, like, 99 rails, 98 rails. It's just a thing.
Oh,
How
yeah,
do you know? I
vaguely
don't
remember
know
that.
I do like the fact that they've got the Dalek font for their numbers, because that font is amazing.
Yeah. It's interesting that the Daleks use a decimal number system as well.
It's because they're evil.
The decimal is a evil system of numbers, yeah. The most evil base of all.
I call it the ZX Spectrum. Because this is Clive Sinclair. His origin story.
In the petrified forest, it's really, really scared. You know, because petrified is a term used for people being really scared.
It's a frightening forest, yeah. Frightened forest.
It's petrified because it is actually petrified.
Like actually turned
That's
into
why
stone,
it's
yeah.
yeah. It's why everything was breaking.
Yeah,
when
you know,
Ian fell on.
that's
Yeah,
not as
I'm
much
just
fun.
saying.
That's just not as much fun.
Okay.
Stop breaking my shit joke.
I wasn't aware. I wasn't aware if you had actually paid attention well enough to notice that. That was all.
Oh no, I noticed. What you take me for, Matt?
But someone who thought that the bubbles in the water were definitely flatulence.
Pat must have known that would come back to inconvenience him.
It's a good thing Barbara was there.
To
She
poke
opened the
at the
door.
wall a bit.
No, she managed to work out how the Daleks opened the door.
Oh, clever girl.
Well, sort of. I don't know if it was by accident or
But
not.
I called BS because she didn't have a plunger on her hands. Surely a
She may
plunger
not
has
have
to be
had a
involved.
plunger, but she could have made a claw shape. with her hand.
Did you just throw his
Okay.
rope at him?
Yeah.
They have lasers
Yes,
in
Mum.
the second in the Invasion of Earfolds, don't they? I don't know about the film, but they do in the TV show, don't they? Because the screen flashes
No.
black and white when they shoot them.
Yeah. That happens in the first one as well. But the actual shot of lasers doesn't happen until
So they've got the technology to do it.
yeah, it doesn't happen until I
No,
think
that's
it's
the-
like the
sorry.
70s. I can't remember which story it is off the top of my head.
How can you not remember such a important detail?
Oh no, the Roomba's chasing
gets-
after us.
It gets muddled slightly because they're the sort of thing that might have been in special edition versions.
Oh, why is that not
That's
gifted
the most-
frequently used on the internet?
That's the most violent game of Red Rover I've ever seen.
I'm surprised it's not used in threads where people go into threads and then they get dragged out as if to say like the Abe Simpson walks in, walks out, that kind of thing.
Just a
I might
Dalek getting
make that
plugged.
myself.
Yeah.
Do it now.
That's the most exciting shot in the movie, to be honest.
Yeah, that's the most. That's all of the action now.
It was the most dynamic, yeah.
The rest of it is just Daleks inexorably walking towards you, not using their exterminating gun.
They just rock'em sock'em robots did with two Daleks.
Ah.
That's what happens when you put a claw and a plunger together. You die painfully.
Oh, they're like Zoidberg species. I don't know.
I don't see why they don't just do this in New Who. Just
Daleks seem to be less shit in New Who.
I don't know, that one episode with Moffat, the Daleks were pretty shit in that.
I did like the first episode with the Dalek on his own then, when it was
Yeah, that was cool.
Eccleston, when he
Yeah.
was like going nuts because of the Dalek, and the Dalek was like, I'm a sad panda.
It was one of the biggest character developing moments of 9.
That's pretty good split decision making. Like, well, the Daleks are dumb as shit, so we just call for them. They'll destroy their own equipment.
Yeah.
The doors.
I really hate it when people do that on the tube.
Like Dalek was clearly born in a barn, keeping his goddamn door open. Look inside.
So is the moral of this story genocide against your robot enemies is alright?
Genocide is
Technically
good as
speaking,
long
they
as...
didn't commit genocide. They turned him around, and then the Daleks killed themselves.
No, it's a
So-
bit of a loophole, yeah.
Well, what's your lucky numbers?
Hmm.
Mine isn't 3.
Bye. Fuck off,
I guess that
Troublemaker.
steam's over.
Mr. Who.
The fuck is the moral of this story?
The moral of the story is travel around and
Just-
kill anyone in your way.
Oh, hold on. Let's spin the wheel of morality.
It's been going on. Good idea.
It's definitely to
Destroy
stand off against
Daleks.
those
Bad idea.
who will do you harm.
Hmm.
I'm surprised there isn't an online wheel of morality that like is an interactive website.
Yeah.
There must be, surely.
Maybe there will
isn't.
be. Maybe there will be with the new Animaniacs.
I hope so.
It does seem to be the whole moral of the story is prepare to fight those who are Nazis.
Yep.
Pacifism will get you killed.
Hey, that's relevant now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I know Trump was a Nazi. Goddamn. Oh my god, that guy's a twat.
Yeah, he's an absolute.
Well, speaking of Trump, be him for president. Or prime minister.
Be a
because
better
prime minister.
fucking president.
Prime minister.
Does he want to
was
spend
sex.
90% of his time going on Twitter going, hey guys, look at me, I'm important. Yeah,
Ian,
big
you know,
man."
I'm calling it now. Ian is woke as fuck, especially by 60 standards.
Yeah.
He's a progressive of his time. He called a soy boy by all
And
right
I'll be
people, so you know he's
if you
alright.
invented a time machine, also a TARDIS, then, right? Right? If you invented a
Oh,
TARDIS,
oh my
you have these
god,
really
that looks so
important
real.
things, wouldn't you create a few extra tubey things, put them in a cupboard, and then if you lose one, you can then put it back in?
Oh, I'm so glad that's the shot the film ended on.
Oh, that's hilarious.
In the script, it's just in square brackets. Ian does things.
I'm not being funny, but I kind of like that, but I don't know why. 'Cause
This movie's got some endearing qualities to it. It's
It
not.
is kind of charming in its own way, and it is very much a product of its time as well.
Oh, it's so important.
There isn't innocence to it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean that name for the production company isn't really kind of real. It's very much an Animus film. So this is actually like Animus and Hammer were the two great rivals of each other during this
Right.
period. So this is like after, well, not after. It's probably still during, but towards the end of like their Hammer horror.
I was going to say,
craze.
yeah, because
So
Peter Cushing had involved
Peter
with that.
Cushing effectively
Yeah.
got this role because of his name through those things, because he was popular stateside with sort of cult driven
Oh,
popular
no kidding.
things.
Wow.
So
They're like, hey, look, it's the guy from Dracula. Wasn't Dracula. anyway. Yeah, he was Van
So-
Helsing. Was it Van
He
Helsing?
could be our warmongering grandpa.
I'll leave that for the second film if I remember it.
Yeah, sure.
Well, we're gonna watch the next film next, and then we should watch the serials and see how much better they are.
Hmm.
But we
Well,
don't
the
need
serial, they're longer.
Yeah.
Or quite a
Yeah,
lot
you know.
longer. Yeah, 7 weeks, right?
Well,
So,
it's not going to
Jazzem,
take us 7
Jazzem.
weeks to watch them, no.
No, I mean 7
But
episodes.
7 episodes for that, I think, and they're about like 25 minutes each. So
What's your thoughts,
Alright.
guys? Final thoughts.
Of the 7 movies that we've watched so far, it's the one I enjoyed the most. I mean,
don't
after
know,
Doom,
because it's technically better, I guess. But it's also one of the less exciting ones. But
well, not much
of-
happened.
But
Yeah,
of course it is, because it's a '60s like low budget, like TV turned movie sort of thing.
okay.
I'll say in this context, it's fun, especially like with like having Matt on here who knows Doctor Who's with that kind of that
yeah, it's
context.
been
of
quite
it.
enlightening
He
with
doesn't
Matt
know
here,
Doctor
yeah.
Who that well. He couldn't even remember the episode that the Daleks started using lasers.
Well, that's the worst
Oh.
crime of all, of course. But even besides that,
it could have.
I mean, it's a bit mean, like what.
Genesis, but
It's a bit mean watching something like this and like picking on it for being of its time, but it's quite.
I'm trying to remember what
It's hard not
films
to do
that were released in 1965. So,
I'm trying to think of when the Batman TV show turned movie was. I think that was
66?
a late. Oh, it might be actually. Yeah.
Surely
So-
66.
1965
1965 in film.
is
It looks
Dr.
like
Zhivago,
Thunderball came out that year.
Oh wow.
and
Okay.
The Sound of Music.
Oh my god.
Dr. Zhivago.
He's Doctor Who's brother.
Is there any James Bond influence in Doctor Who? Would you say?
In that particular episode, there was quite. It seemed to be a little bit Doctor No in places.
I could see that.
Anyway, guys, as we have now finished the film, we have given our final thoughts, except for me. I kind of said them already, like, even though I thought it was a shit film, I still enjoyed it. I don't know why, it's weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, we call it an end here. We'll be back with whatever the next one's called, Doctor Who and the Daleks, and invade Jeff's house.
Those bastards! At it again.
Stealing my beer.
Jeff's
Anyway,
gonna love it when it turns out there's a character called Jeff in it.
All right.
right, let's call it an end here, guys. Thank you for watching the film with me and everyone else who's listening. You know, and
See you all around.
yeah. So goodbye, guys. Say goodbye to the all our million viewers / listeners.
Goodbye, everyone.
Hi, Garrett.
Why
Hi,
are you
Garrett.
Yeah. Guy Garrett. Bless him.
No, you might get
Uh,
Grum on this one.
Yeah, Grom will listen to this one because he loves his
Doctor Who, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, goodbye.
Hi, Grum.
Bye.
Bye.